Let's rock. So you guys want to hear something absolutely insane? Well, in the last 40 months, my YouTube grew from 0 to 2.23 million subscribers. My Instagram grew from 7,000 to 2.5 million subscribers, followers. You get the idea. My LinkedIn went from 0 to 324,000 followers. My TikTok went from 0 to 856,000 followers. My Twitter/X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, went from 0 to 617,000. My Facebook, which we just started, went from 0 to 25,000. There we go. Going in big, Facebook. My podcast went from 3,000 downloads to 25 million downloads. And my email subscribers went from 0 to 700,000 for a grand total of 2 billion impressions over that time period and 7.8 million new subscribers. And for a grand total of 1 million copies sold of my book. For those of you who are like, well, what does that mean? And I'll get to that in a second. So in 40-ish months, all of that happened. And I show all of this as proof to start this, to show one thing, is that this actually works. And you can build a brand without babes, without stunts, or kittens. And I start this proof because lots of people talk about stuff that they haven't done and teach a lot of sucky fluff as a result. You can see the man there. He's saying the truth. This fluff sucks. And I refuse to do that. And so before we got the 2 billion impressions and the 7.8 million subscribers, it wasn't like this. Because 40 months ago, I started with 0 subscribers and a big, quote, fancy plan. And my fancy plan had 3 steps. Step 1, make as much good stuff as I could. Step 2, post it everywhere I could. And step 3, learn as much as I could. And after 40-ish months, $4 million in team, equipment, vendors, studios, and software, 1,000 hours of me on camera recording, and 35,000 pieces of content. Let me say that again. 35,000, as in count to 1,000, and then do that 35 times in a row. I learned a lot of what not to do. But I did learn 6 things that made money and grew my brand that you can use today. Now, what I'd like to do is, for the remainder of the presentation, save you the 3.5 years and $4 million so you can just get the lessons without the scars. So that little box is our box of 6 lessons. Cool? All right, let's rock. So here are the 6 changes that we observed over the last 40-ish months that actually worked. Number 1, going from edutainment to education. Number 2, for us to for you. Number 3, wide to narrow. Number 4, views to revenue. Number 5, shorts to longs. Number 6, assume more to assume nothing. Now, most of those, I promise you, I will explain. And if it looks like, I think I know what that means, believe me, there's a lot more underneath of it. So let's start with the first one, edutainment to education. So I see content in 3 buckets. On one extreme, you've got entertainment, which is the entire point of entertainment, just to define the term, is to get people to watch. The only point of the entertainment is to just get people to consume it. That's it. If it accomplishes that, it has succeeded. On the other side, you have education, where the point of education is to get someone to change what they do, right? If you try and teach someone how to answer a phone, and then in the same situation, the phone rings and they don't do something, and then after they watch you do something, they then change what they do when the phone rings the second time, they have learned. So the point is to change their behavior. If the video or the content does that, then you've succeeded at educating them. And lastly, you have edutainment, which has the point of both trying to teach and entertaining at the same time. And to be clear, it's less that you make entertaining content or that you make educational content. It's more that you make content and people are either entertained or educated as a result. And so you can make one thing that entertains some people, and then that same thing educates other people. And so I just want to make this very clear that you don't control the audience. You make something and then education or entertainment occurs. But for our purposes, I'll define the content category as the most common outcome of your content. And so if a lot of people are entertained, then you've made entertaining content for the purpose of this presentation, even if 1 or 2 people learn something. So for example, some creators might learn stuff from Mr. Beast's videos. Wow, I learned how to make videos. But the vast majority of people are entertained. They watch just to watch. On the other hand, Walla, who's one of the #1 educators on YouTube, you can even see the different look and feels, and don't worry, I'm gonna get into that. He may entertain some enthusiasts around that subject. But mostly, he educates students. And until recently, I've been trying to figure this out. I've spent a lot of time really working through this. And so I actually have videos in all 3 buckets. I have entertainment videos where the point is to get people to watch. I have edutainment videos where we try and teach and entertain at the same time. And then we have education videos where we just want to change people's behavior. We just want to teach them something. And so the first change, #1, that we see over lots of the data, and I'll support in a second, is that I'm going all in on education for 3 reasons. #1 is that when we looked at all of our data, all views are not created equal. I'll dive into that in a second. #2 is I like educational videos. And #3 is I like people who like educational videos too, and or people who educate themselves, people who want to learn. And so let me explain these. So all views are not created equal. So there's this theory, and this will be one that's gonna rattle some cages. There's a theory that media works like a funnel. In fact, the vast majority of marketing infographics and things like that, almost all are funnels. And the theory goes like this. You make entertaining content, and then the theory states that people who watch that content then will go to more educational content. Okay? Sounds simple enough. We've got something wide, we've got something narrow. Fantastic. But in our experience, in my experience, and based on our book sales, based on our email opt-ins, and based on the applications we receive at acquisition.com to become portfolio companies, it works much more like this, which is that entertainment people want more entertainment content. And education people want more, say it with me, education content. And so in other words, these people do not become these people, not in any appreciable rate that we would build a business around. And they certainly don't read the books, join the email list, or apply to become portfolio businesses. So if I want more of these people, then they deserve the stuff that they value. And so that's the first reason that I'm doubling down on education. All views are not created equal. #2, the next is that I simply like doing it. All right, so I do believe that you should try and do stuff that you like doing, and if it happens to also be in line with your goals, awesome. It's much tougher when the thing you like doing isn't aligned with your goals. But in this instance, when I got that first piece of data, I was like, thank God, because this is stuff I like making most. All right, and so when I talk to ideal customers, in my mind, they are business owners and business interested people. Because if you know me, and anybody who's close to me would probably attest to this, is that if you hang out with me for any amount of time, we will probably talk about business because it's what I love talking about. I eat it, I sleep it, I drink it, I work 7 days on it, and I skip holidays for it because for me, it is the holiday. So this is what I like doing. And this is what the people that I like serving also like. And so they like it better too. And this is where it got confusing for me leading up to this, and why this is so important, is that it got very confusing when you have so many people saying, man, I really like the entertaining content. And this is where it gets difficult. This is where you have to read between the lines of the comments rather than just reading the comments themselves. All right? Because the thing is for us, or at least for me, they weren't necessarily who I was trying to attract. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, hey, if I could serve the whole world, I will. But I know that I tend to do better serving people who want to educate themselves than people who just want to watch or consume just for the sake of it. And so that's why I'm doubling down on going from edutainment, some entertainment, to education. So that's #1. So let's talk about change #2 that we saw. Going from for us to for you. You're like, well, what does that mean? Let me explain. So recently, a mutual friend came to the headquarters, and he said, hey, I've been consuming your stuff for years, but recently I just haven't been watching as much. And he said it offhandedly. He wasn't trying to smash my ego into bits, and he failed at that. But when he said it, I really took it to heart, right? It was very gut-wrenching. He said it just doesn't resonate as much. I was like, okay, got it. And it felt like a gut punch since he's literally the person I could help most. This is a business owner doing 10 million plus a year. And And I was like, man, well, that sucks.